Testing. Is that close enough? Yeah. Can you all hear? Sounds good? Yep.
Hey everybody, good morning. So good to see you all here on Super Bowl Sunday. Um, Glad you're here. We're going to do some very intentional grounding. Football joke. That's all I got. No, I have a lot more. Specifically, really excited to introduce Alexa Redner, who is here in guest teacher capacity. She lives here in Portland. We were connected to Alexa by way of her teacher, James Beres, who is a longtime part of the Spirit Rock community. Is he considered a founder of Spirit Rock? And James authorized Alexa to teach several years ago, and she's very involved in a variety of sanghas and moved up to Portland a couple of years ago and teaches online in a lot of venues. She's a facilitator of the mindfulness meditation teacher certification program for Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock, and also is part of their online practice community, which is called Banyan. And we met with Alexa probably about a month ago and had just a great conversation about the Dharma and what would resonate with this community right now. And I think you're all going to really, really enjoy her presence and her insight and just practicing with her. So I'll hand it over to Alexa Redner.
Was that a shaker? Do you do that in the Sangha, shake for people? That's fabulous. I wish I was thinking of a football joke, but I couldn't think of any football jokes. It's actually very serious in our household. My husband takes the game of football very seriously, but is boycotting it because he's a 49ers fan. So I guess that just means, hi. See some familiar faces, even some people I've practiced with on retreat before, recognizing some faces here. Well, thank you for welcoming me into this space. I had the good fortune of practicing yesterday with Doug and some other people here. This day long on compassion, self-compassion, and what a blessing to have these practices. And just, I don't know if you can feel the good juju in this space from all of the day of practice we had here yesterday, but if you can, feel into it. People practicing healing together yesterday. So is there anyone here who this is your very first time into? Okay, well, welcome. Would you share with us your name? Would that feel comfortable for you? Hi, Mitch. Welcome. Hey, Dean. Welcome. So while we're saying hey, let's take a minute and turn around and say hey. Just say hey to each other. Hi. Here we are. Beautiful. I grew up in the Unitarian church, and I remember going to church on Sundays and the minister always having us do that. And I always remember as a small child being so scared of that moment, like, I have to turn around and look somebody in the eye and say hello. And then remembering the moment after doing it, like, oh, I don't think I had that feeling so much when I was a kid, but reflecting on it later as an adult, how the moment after saying hello, everything could just, oh, this is what it's like to smile with a stranger. I hope you felt that little joy there. Okay, so for those of you who are new, the way that this morning will go is that we will, in a moment, it'll be around probably 35, 40-minute meditation, do some guidance. And then we'll have Jim lead us in some mindful movement. And then I'll offer some thoughts. And the Dharma theme for today is taking refuge in Sangha. We're doing it. Here we are. So before we do that, we thought we would chant the refuges as we're bringing in this idea of taking refuge. So if you have the chant sheet in front of you, you can use it. And I was trained in a specific way of leading the refuges. We'll just chant the refuges. We won't also chant the precepts. So you may know a different way of chanting the refuges. You may have zero idea what I'm even talking about, and that's fine too. I'll say the English right now, and when we chant, we'll chant in the Pali, the language of the Buddha, because that's how I know how to do it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, take a moment to get it. You need it. And at any time, if you can't hear me, please raise a hand and I will speak louder. Okay. So taking homage. Actually, now I'm curious what that word homage really means. Like, it would be a great dictionary moment. What does homage mean? let's think of it. Respect, reverence. To the Buddha, the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. So we could consider that that means this Buddha, all Buddhas, historical, who have come before, and also our innate awareness, our innate loving awareness capacity to awaken. And so we go for refuge. We find safety, inspiration in the Buddha, in the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, the natural way of things, nature, and in the Sangha. The Sangha here, this community of practitioners, and the greater Sangha, all practitioners who have come before in this really rich lineage, practitioners. And I'm going to talk more about this, so I'll save that for later. So now is just a time to come out of the thinking mind and sort of invite in this devotional sense in the heart space. Maybe if you don't connect with this practice of chanting, you can just maybe think of it as just singing together, taking a moment to drop into the heart and hear one another's voices. So the way this chant goes, we say, Buddham saranang gacchami, Dhammam saranang gacchami, Sangham saranang gacchami, and then we got to do it 3 times because the Buddha liked to repeat things. It's an oral tradition, so we'll do it again. So for the 2nd time, I take refuge. Dutiyami, Buddham saranang gacchami, Dutiyami. And then we're going to do it again. Tatyami, Sangham. So we'll do it 3 times and really get it into the heart and let it. I like to say, sometimes we can get a little, but let's fill the space with our devotion, our voices. Sing as loud as you like to. Okay. So let's take a moment and have a breath. Feeling the earth. And the sky. And sensing one another. And I'll invite you to chant with me if you'd like. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sangham saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Dharmang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddham saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Dharmang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Sangham saranang gacchami. Finding our way into our posture. And so maybe that's moving a little, taking time to let the mind, the body, heart be ready. And as we invite in settling, beginning this practice, inviting in kindness. Perhaps just dropping in that word, kindness. Noticing how the heart responds to that word, how the body responds. Or softening. Sometimes I like to imagine that I drop in the word relax like a tincture in the top of my head. And just let the word and all it means fill the body. Relax. Sometimes just a very subtle elongating of the out breath can invite in this sense of relaxing, softening. And sensing these muscles around the eyes, the forehead, sending this loving awareness to this part of the face that works so hard to think and express, and taking this time to let these muscles relax. Softening the jaw, letting the whole face be soft. Sending a loving exhale down the shoulders, the arms. Letting the arms just give themselves over to gravity, soft. Letting the heart melt. Bringing a loving awareness to the belly and maybe noticing if there are any little muscles in the lower part of the belly that are gripping. Softening here. Letting the belly take up space. Relax. And sensing this sacred weight of the lower part of the body, making contact with the seat, with the earth. And now zooming out and becoming aware of this whole body. Sensing the aliveness, the body being breathed. And there's the pulse. Where can you feel that pulse? And can you sense into this hum of aliveness? And of course, as we begin to bring awareness to the body, all kinds of experiences reveal themselves, and all of the senses in the mind, in the heart. And this is just a practice of allowing. So we might do a light investigation into the heart and mind in this moment to become curious what is revealing itself to be allowed. So is there irritation, restlessness, some kind of pain, sleepiness, doubting, wanting? Maybe it's just a subtle feeling this moment could be better in some way. Or maybe what's here is ease, calm, curiosity, relaxation, equanimity. Just seeing clearly what's happening in the mind and the heart without adding any judgment. This is just how it is right now. Pleasant, unpleasant, neither. And allow all of it. Can even drop in this word, allowing, allowing. a helpful part of our experience to explore, to investigate is how are we relating to this moment, to the practice itself? Is there kindness in the awareness? And of course, the mind will start thinking, remembering, and planning, telling stories. We might feel like we were lost for quite some time in some story or another. But awareness is so amazing. It always comes back all on its own. How amazing. And so the practice then is to become aware of how we're meeting that moment when awareness returns. Is it full of blame and judgment for thinking, or is it full of appreciation? Awareness returning. Wow. And depending on how busy the mind is at any given day or practice, there might be many opportunities for, wow, wow, came back. And I like to think of that moment when awareness returns as an opportunity to reconnect with kindness, reconnect with the long exhale back into presence, beginning again. like taking a hand of a dear one and slowly walking home to this present moment, to the breath, to the body, to being here together. What is most needing your kindness right now? Can you soften around any place that feels tight, tired, restless? Dropping in that tincture of relax, soften. And we'll take the last part of this practice as an opportunity to breathe in metta, loving kindness, and begin to radiate it. So we're taking refuge in Sangha. Can you feel in your body, in your heart, that you are in Sangha? Does your body experience that in any way, that it's sitting with Sangha? Sensing in that and beginning to radiate into this space your care, your tenderness. Filling this space with metta. And widening the circles of this care to radiate into this Portland, in this country. It's said that metta is boundless, immeasurable. Letting our metta be boundless, radiating, just radiating in all directions. Can you feel it radiate in front of you, in back of you, to the sides, above, below? May all beings, omitting none, benefit from our meditation today. We will have some time for some movement now with Jim.
Testing. You can hear me? Yes. Okay. One more time. Can you hear me? So, feeling our connection with the earth. Just thought of something I've always wanted to try. Let's find out what mindful movement is outside of a form, outside of a meeting of the Sangha, but still mindful movement. Imagine, if you will, just for a second, that you're stopping in the middle of the afternoon for some tea with a friend. And imagine that the teapot is over here on one side, and the friend's cup is over here on the other side. So reach over with this hand and tuck in the thumb inside the palm like you had a handle of a teapot. And then lift and move over across to the other side of the table. And then pour the tea into the cup. And then relax that hand. And then reach over with the other hand. Tuck in the thumb underneath the four fingers like you had a handle. Lift. Move. Pour. And release. Got to tuck in my chin. Let's do that again. Lift. Move. Release. Reach. Lift. Move and release. So that's mindful movement in daily activity, attending to each movement, each gesture within a purpose. You're pouring tea for your friend. Okay, so if we work together as a Sangha to create a flow of chi for healing, we lift. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to move this. And then relax the hands so the fingers are pointing up a little bit. And then release. So this is called lifting water, as if you were standing next to a creek and you were bringing the chi up out of the water and pouring it into your legs. So we do that with harmony between the two arms. They're doing the same thing together. And then there's dozens of arms doing the same thing together. Start again, and then open the lungs, paying attention to space around you. Again, there's a differentiation between one side and the other in order to open the lungs. And then relaxing the face, putting a little smile on your lips. Still getting so much feedback. Let's paint a rainbow, imagining moving across the sky. fingertips like paintbrushes. Now, release those gestures to start another one. Cross the wrists, lift up the center, and separate clouds. No effort. You have all the support of every person in the room to make an opening in the clouds. No effort. Note to self, don't wear this vest with this microphone. All right, lifting one hand, palm up, and the other hand, palm forward, will push and pull. So we can be engaged and be mindful of the body moving, engaged, pushing and pulling, turning a water wheel. Now, pausing, just attending to the life in this body, standing here, balanced, upright, easy breath. It might be a little fuller than when we started. But not too much effort. Now relax one hand behind and then lift the other hand and release. So just lifting across, move this hand behind and lift and let the heel come up and feel the engagement in one leg, engagement in one arm, and then resting with the other side. So we can take this attention, this kind attention, and split it into differentiated gestures. The left side of the body is doing one thing, the other side is doing the opposite. Turning, gazing at the moon over the shoulder, releasing, lifting, releasing. Sometimes we work with gravity to release, and sometimes we work against it to energize the body. But we flow from one purpose to another, not holding on to one gesture too long, just right. Now again, relax one side and engage with the other side towards the corner. Relax, engage towards the corner. We can choose how we engage with the world. Give it direction, give it purpose. Find the harmless way to operate. And then realize all these others are doing the same thing, harmlessly engaging. Now, turn one hand so you can see the palm and the other towards the earth. Draw both hands across as if you were a cloud drifting across the sky. but simultaneously aware of the shadow on the earth. My teachers always said, wave hands like clouds and keep the earth in the awareness simultaneously. Now again, come to the center and open both hands and feel the life. Life in the hands, life in the feet, the legs, hips, lower torso, belly moving outward and inward with the rhythm of breathing, or maybe the lifting of the collarbone, lifting with the inhale, releasing life in a rhythm, joining with the life of the planet, drawing in the oxygen we need that's created across the planet, releasing what we don't need, but the planet knows how to use what we release in harmony, collaboration, rhythm, sinking, opening, drawing all this experience into a unity, circle of practice, circle of healing, in with new energy, releasing, in with the new, releasing with the stress. And then gratefulness for another opportunity to practice together. Thank you very much. And I'll be here tomorrow at 10:30 to do a class in Qigong that's set up for the next 3 weeks. So tomorrow and the 10th, 17th, 24th. And then sometime I'll be back on a Saturday. I don't know. My mind is gone right now. But thank you. Pardon me? Well, it's in my pocket. I have to mute my pocket.
Do I need to go over and they'll be able to see me here? If I sit down, is it okay? You get me? All right. Hi, Sangha. I'm Danny Menken. I am the interim managing director of PIMC. Interim in that you shouldn't get too attached to me or anything. I'm very happy to be here today and looking out at this great group. I have a few announcements today. Let me bring up my notes. Let's see. Yeah, I wanted to start by reemphasizing that what, in the words of the board, this is going to be a safe space for everyone. And we want everyone to feel comfortable. Spirit of Kuan Yin, KB, Ruth Dennison, that this is a safe space considering what has transpired. So please come up to us if anything makes you uncomfortable here. Yeah, and it reminds me of a sort of sad fact that Super Bowl Sunday is one of the highest days of spousal abuse in the country. When you put together alcohol and testosterone in a small space. So I want to send out compassion for my sisters in that situation. Yeah, so we are trying to create a new space here in the spirit of, I guess, the Hindu god Shiva, who is the god of destruction and creation. So something was destroyed and something will come up out of that. Some flowers will grow. When a forest fire happens, new life is created. So we are doing that. We're in a thoughtful process with the board about this right now. We are trying to center the female voice right now because it has been a very dominated male voice for a long time. So we are looking for the women of our community to step up and assume some leadership. And I hope I'm not mansplaining this too much. But it is truly sincere in what we want to do. So we need that. So it's not mansplaining. We need to ask the ladies, the women in our community, to step forward and help us with leadership and board. We're very happy to have Alexa here. We have Caverly Morgan coming in the future. We had Betsy Toll. We will be looking, as we are in this thoughtful process of what do we want for leadership? What should this look like? And a challenging time. Let's say it is a challenging time for us. It is a challenging transition we're going through that we will need your support and your guidance. We will be having a community meeting. I believe it's on March 30th, where we're going to try to bring the whole community and do a report and be transparent about what's going on, our finances, which are in, sort of fragile condition considering what's going on. So we will do a report to the community at that point. But we do want a lot of input from you guys at this point, and I hope you will feel free to reach out to me. I'm director at portlandinsight.org, I believe is my email. I have another, yeah. Yeah, we are looking. Yeah, are we going to be recruiting board members? Yeah, the board is predominantly male. If you don't know that now, it's a great board, 4 men, 1 woman, and they have done an amazing service to this community considering what went on. But yes, we will be beginning a thoughtful process of looking for women to join the board. I just don't want to throw the invitation out there because but it is a thoughtful process. So if you think you have something to give, if you want to come forward, you can talk to Dan, or Shane, or myself. But we are in the beginning of this process. So yes, and it is a volunteer board, just so you know, and it's where policy comes from. And there is, some people don't know, we are governed by a board. It got kind of shady during the Robert era about who was governing, but it is board governance. So the board does make decisions and decides what's going on. Trying to get to my notes here. Every time I bring on my notes, I get pictures of my twin grandchildren, so it's nice. Shane Dixon Kavanaugh over here, who's one of our board members, is part of a panel on tricycle on Dharma informed news coming up this Tuesday. So that's an interesting thing you might want to check in. Shane can get you a free pass, I believe, if you want to. 11 a.m. on Tuesday. Yeah, so interesting thing in terms of news. And again, some little segue in my mind was the other day, the Oregonian, and I'm trying to titrate my news as we all need to these days. It's just very hard. But there was a lovely story in the Oregonian that I just want to share with you if you missed it, about a bus driver in Portland, who a gunman came up to the door with a gun, and he got them to let all the passengers off. He let them on the bus. He talked to him. He got the gunman. He listened to the gunman. He heard the gunman. He got the gunman to drop the gun outside the bus. He hugged the gunman. He was enabled the police to come and take the gunman away so it's just like there was the dharma, there was compassion in action. So it's nice to center that and say this is going on in our world at a time like this. It's not all doom and gloom. I want to thank Alexa for being here and also mention that you've started a women's group. When is that on? starting the 20th, there'll be a women's group led by Alexa on Tuesday night, the 25th, Tuesday, the 25th. Will that also be on Zoom? I don't know. In person to start, but I encourage you to check that out. It's going to be here. Yeah, here, the 25th. I believe so. I believe we did. Yeah. Okay. Checking with Mel. You don't, Mel, raise your hand. Mel is our manager, our office manager, and also director of our volunteers. So if we also need a lot more volunteers. So if you are interested, if you raise your hand, if you're a volunteer here, there's Marla. Lots of people volunteer. Look how happy all these people are. You too can be this happy by volunteering at PIMC, by giving service. So I think that's it. I'm going to turn it back over to Donna. Yes. So we are in difficult financial times. Donna is the donation. It's I had a friend who said giving is the rent we pay for living. So it's like, how can you participate? How can you give? These doors need your support. The best kind of support we can get is a monthly. You can do that through Ativa, $5, $10 a month, $20 a month. You know, the price of coffee. I had a realization the other day that I spend a lot more at Pete's, my wife and I, than we do in our monthly donations. And I rationalize it by saying, well, if I didn't have the caffeine, I'd never make it here. But I'm trying to balance that out. So if you can be kind and generous and notice that how good it feels to do that, to give, and however generous you can be. So that's to say that I just started a week ago, so we're really at the beginning of this work. So we're trying to figure out how it's going to go. We will need your input. Happy to talk to you all. We have good people involved. We have good intentions. So thank you for staying with us and being here today. It makes my heart feel good just to look out and see this happy, gentle crowd of people here today. So good way to spend Super Bowl Sunday. And with that, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary to Alexa. Sorry, I couldn't stop myself. Thank you. Oh, you don't need this.
That sad applause was the best.
Let's just have a moment to feel the effect of the announcements on the heart, on the mind, on the body. There was a lot there that may have stirred some things up. So just noticing how it is for you right now. I just like looking at you all. It's a beautiful group. And really invite you to look at each other for a moment. If it feels comfortable. You can also like look with your body, you know, just for a moment, closing your eyes. And just feeling the togetherness of Sangha. I love doing that. It's something I do every time I teach, just kind of close my eyes and ask, Do I know in my body that I'm sitting with friends? Can I feel that in my heart? And I can. I can feel it in my heart. I can feel this drawing forward. And I want to honor that we have lots of friends in the Zoom space. Can't see you, but I can feel you. Yeah. Hi. So maybe a couple weeks ago, a month ago, when I sat down with Dan and Doug and Shane, and they shared with me all that they've been holding, both personally through this unfolding and holding the community. Yeah, we're holding that pain together. But a refrain that I heard over and over in that one conversation, and that I continue to hear each time that I've talked with any of them, is what is amazing is the Sangha, the way the Sangha has come together, the way, and so probably you know more about this than I do from inside the Sangha, but stepping up and guiding meditations right away together, holding Kalyanamita groups. I think you've even been leading some Sundays together, yeah. Listening, hearing each other's anger, confusion, love, the gamut of complexity of different emotions. Just listening, sharing, and healing together. In some ways, probably a lot of you might be able to come up here and give a talk today on refuge and Sangha. So this refuge and Buddha, refuge in the Dharma and the Sangha, different traditions call these like the three jewels or the triple gem. And I was looking at this gem on my desk the other day, this big crystal rock, and I just love how gems have these facets, like when they're cut, right? Like you can hold one of these rocks and you hold it up to the light, and in each facet, you see something different when you look at these crystals. So I was thinking, all right, let's hold up this gem of Sangha and together today, let's turn it around and just look at different qualities of this gem of Sangha that we love, that we appreciate, and that we're cultivating together. And going through challenge together is just one facet of refuge and Sangha. There are many, many, many facets. I have had fun thinking about this topic this week. I have felt just by thinking about it in my own practice, wow, I am so lucky to be on a path, feeling into this global Sangha, not just of Buddhist practitioners, but particularly feeling just grateful for being on a Buddhist path. So one of the things that I love about the Buddha is that he teaches many times with these bold statements, like provocative statements. Like I was thinking of the Satipatthana Sutta, right? Do you know that sutta, the sutta on the teaching of mindfulness? It starts with, it's very provocative, it's very bold. He says, this is the first line of the Satipatthana Sutta. He says, this is the only way, monks, and by monks, that's everyone, monks, nuns, lay people. This is the only way for the purification of beings. But just right there, this is the only way. That's bold, right? Okay. For the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the destruction of suffering and grief, for reaching the right path, for the attainment of nibbana, namely the four foundations of mindfulness. But this is the only way. That's the part to me that's very bold. And he does that on purpose, I think. Because I know for me, when I hear that, there's a skeptic in me that goes, really the only way? And I want to lean in because I do have a certain amount of faith and check it out for myself. And that's what the Buddha really invited us to do. Is like, this is what I've seen. This is what really feels true. And I think it's true. And the Buddha says it is true. It's the only way. But within that style of teaching, it invites us to check it out. So for me so far, well, I don't know. The verdict is out whether it's the only way. I'm not that, I don't know if I could say that yet in my own practice, or I can hold space for it not being the only way, but so far it has been the only way that I've been able to find liberation. So another one of these bold statements that came in a sutta that I heard very early on in my practice on a long retreat, it stuck out to me almost more than any other bold statement that the Buddha made, and really was like a gigantic question mark in my heart when I heard this, like, what? And this is from the Upada Sutta. And you've probably heard this, but I'll read a piece of it to us right now. I have heard on one occasion that the Blessed One was living among the Sakyas. Now, the Venerable Ananda was the Buddha's loving attendant, went to the Blessed One, and on arrival, having bowed down to the Blessed One, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, Venerable Ananda said to the Blessed One, "This is half the holy life. Admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie." And the Buddha says, "Don't say that, Ananda. Don't say that. Admirable friendship, admirable companionship, admirable camaraderie is the whole of the holy life." I get chills even when I read that right now. That's such a bold statement. When a practitioner has admirable people as friends, companions, and comrades, they can be expected to develop and pursue the path. So spiritual friendship being the whole of the holy life. I couldn't understand it when I first heard this teaching. And maybe it was somehow the way that I was taught. I started practicing 20 years ago, and we practiced on long retreats, did a lot of long, intensive retreats, and we didn't look at each other. We didn't make eye contact. We weren't allowed to smile on these retreats. It was kind of serious. And we could feel Sangha in that style of practice, but we weren't chatting, and we weren't, it didn't make sense to me. But there was something about it that this is what the Buddha is saying. I want to check this out. And I don't know, maybe all of you have always had Sangha. Is there anybody in here who has at some point not had a Sangha? Yeah. Do you remember what that was like? Does anybody want to share what that experience? No. I'll share. I could give a share. We'll have lots of time for sharing later. For me, when I became a young mom 12 years ago, I lived on a mountaintop in Sonoma and had no Sangha. And I completely lost my practice, completely. And it was a dark time. And now having it again and having it be the center of my life, I can validate this in my own experience. I think that it can be really easy when we do have Sangha, like we do have it today. We come here Sunday, we do our Sangha. For me, I lead a lot of Sanghas online, and it can be so easy to just take it for granted, like click on and here I am and here we are. We do this. I'm leading Sanghas every day. Oh, cool. Here I am in Sangha every day. I can take it for granted. And then sometimes something will just switch, like something will just shake me up, and I'll realize, whoa, I get to be with people who really care about the same things I do in a very deep way. How amazing that is. And just, it was a couple weeks ago, I had a moment like this, logging on or teaching one of my sanghas, and in this online community, we often have breakout rooms. Maybe you do breakout rooms when you do online, and typically I'm not in a breakout room. I'm just kind of holding the space in the main room. But on this day, something weird happened with the technology, and some people ended up in the main room. So I just said, hey, well, let's do a breakout room. And we had a prompt that we were sharing about. What was the prompt? It was something like, how is what's happening in your curriculum? What are you learning from what's happening in your life? Something like that. And I had it was such a powerful moment as I heard these other two people share. Like, one woman was just sharing her grief about something, but through the lens of, how am I learning? How am I relating to this grief? You know, it wasn't just this storytelling on and on. Just like, this is what's happening, and this is how I'm relating to it. This is what I'm learning from it. And the other woman was sharing about having an adult daughter with mental illness, and she was sharing with us different ways that she was perceiving. She was playing with perception. Like, when I perceive it this way, I notice I get really contracted. When I perceive it this way, it's easier to hold. And I just had a moment of being completely blown away. Like, right. It's so easy to take these kind of conversations for granted if we have a lot of spiritual friends and we're talking like this. But this is a rare thing in the world right now, to be sharing about our experience and what are we learning from it, and how are we perceiving, and how can we grow. And I could feel it, and maybe it sounds cheesy, but really in my body, I just felt so much gratitude in that moment. This is refuge and Sangha. And yesterday, that candle that's right here in the middle of the room, there's one downstairs where we were practicing with Doug. And I could not stop looking at that candle. If you see it, it's like these people, they seem ancient to me. Right there, it's yeah, not you, but this ancient lineage of practitioners sitting around the fire. Just as I was, as I was listening to everybody share yesterday, I just was so drawn to that. It's like, that's it. That's what we're doing. We're sitting around the fire together. And they're hardy. Yeah. Yeah. And so I kept saying that in my mind yesterday, sitting around the fire. And I remembered this short little teaching from Ram Dass, and I thought I would share it here. Some of you may have heard it. He says, it's as if in each of us there once was a fire. And for some of us, there seems as if there are only ashes now. But when we dig in the ashes, we find one ember. And very gently, we fan that ember, blow on it. It gets brighter. And from that ember, we rebuild the fire. The only thing that's important is that ember. That's what you and I are here to celebrate. The ember gets stronger. Flame starts to flicker a bit. And pretty soon you realize that all we're going to do for eternity is sit around the fire. felt it was resonant with what this community is holding also. We dig in the ashes, we find one ember, and we gently fan that ember and rebuild the fire. Let's just do that for a moment. And just sense into, again, being together. And whether that ember for you is this community, or whether it's a finding strength to be in the world right now, or something personal you're holding. Just being together and fanning the flames. And sitting around the fire. Something I like to do with words is drop them into the mind and the heart, into the chitta, the mind and the heart, and just see how the heart and the mind and the body respond to a word, and how like if an image might come, or a gesture, like an image of a gesture might come, or a somatic feeling in the body. And so I was thinking, I've done this before with the word refuge. And I just invite us to do that for a moment. For a moment, I'll just say refuge. And just see, does any image come of refuge, or a gesture, or a somatic feeling in the body, this feeling of refuge? Did anything come up for you? Any image or I would love to hear. Could we have a moment to hear if any image came, or a gesture, or a somatic feeling? You don't have to pass the mic. If you want to share, I can then say it into the mic for a moment. Yeah. Did any image come? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. So this wonderful feeling of safety, of being, and this is a gesture. Did that come too? Yeah. And of being seen and heard, and being held. Being held. Yeah. Thank you. Do you want to pass the mic? Ah, great.
We have a very cute one from Joe on Zoom who said, "We are Groot." I guess it's a reference to if you know the movie, you know. We are Groot.
What does that mean?
I guess you have to explain the movie.
Okay. All right.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay. Any other images or gestures or feelings in the body that you noticed with that word refuge? Dan? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could feel that right here. You said safety right in the sternum. And if you didn't hear Dan, he said a hut that's on a mountaintop with smoke coming out. How about you, Doug? What did you feel? I saw you go like this.
Yes, refuge.
He's feeling it, the refuge in the heart, the support of Sangha right here.
We have one more online.
Great.
I feel a big sigh of relief from Kath.
Let's do that. This moment right now. I have this image of this, well, the candle, not candle, but this holding. The home is the image that came to me too, Dan. I think of a home. And somatically, when I think of refuge, not when I think of, when I experience it physically, I experience that like down movement. It's like a down regulating, like you were saying, that feeling of safety is like I'm down regulating. I think when I think of the word refuge, I think of a place to go when I'm scared or in danger. Yeah. I don't need to tell you this, but it's kind of scary out there at times. Life has always been scary because it's uncertain. That's the nature of it. We don't all perceive it as scary all the time, but it's impermanent, right? Life is impermanent and it's uncertain, and it can have a quality of being, scariness to it. I know right now, for me, in my way of perceiving the world, it feels like change is happening very fast. On top of what is already always changing and always uncertain. And that can feel scary. I know in a lot of the Sanghas I lead, fear is the primary word I'm hearing a lot in the last week. Have any of you had that feeling this week? Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I have found myself going to take refuge in listening to wise elders talk Dharma talks, going to Dharma seat and finding the wisest elder I can find and what are they saying. And one of these was a nun whose name is Aya Santachita. Any of you know Aya Santachita? She teaches, at Cloud Mountain a lot. She is a small German bundle of Dharma fire. She's amazing. And her recent talk was called We Have the Medicine. Or no, it's called We Are Not Without Medicine. We Are Not Without Medicine. Great talk. And so these refuges are where we go to find medicine in the face of really fear. There's all kinds of different emotions that can come out of fear, but I think at the core of this uncertainty of life is fear. So first, we take refuge in the Buddha. What does that even mean? Take refuge in the Buddha. It's one I constantly want to feel in because I still have a little sometimes I can bow to the Buddha and I feel my heart so full of devotion, it just drips. And sometimes I just don't necessarily feel anything when I look at the image of the Buddha. So I like to feel in what is the deeper meaning of that, taking refuge in the Buddha. And it's simply taking refuge in my capacity to be aware, in my capacity to have loving awareness. And this isn't like something that we just do when we come to Sangha, like Namo Buddha. It's a moment to moment refuge, taking refuge in the Buddha. I love thinking about that. It's not fancy. It's just these moment to moment awakenings. I was just thinking about this. I was on a little retreat last week and I had a sit where it was very sort of calm. And because of that, it was like going into that floaty, sleepy, that state where nothing there's no awareness really, but it's pleasant, So it was sort of floaty, pleasant. And then at some point it turned unpleasant because I wanted to be awake. And when the sit was over, there was aversion. because it was unpleasant, but I wasn't aware of the aversion. There was just aversion was clouding the mind, so everything was being seen through the eyes of aversion, and I was like then going to do yoga, and I didn't really want to do yoga, but it was just there was aversion in the mind, so there was just an attitude of irritation with everything, and it was very subtle. So subtle that I wasn't picking up on it. And I was trying to do all of these, what seemed like really skillful things to work with the aversion, like be grateful and look, here I am on retreat, and nothing was working. Until one moment, all of a sudden mindfulness arose and saw, oh, I was able to kind of track what had just happened. There was a moment of unpleasant in that sit. It turned to aversion, boom, glasses that are tinted with aversion, and everything is being perceived and met through those lenses, that tint. And seeing it, oh, it's just aversion, was so liberating. It liberated the moment. It was like it turned aversion into joy. And it was the joy of seeing. Oh, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. It was so fun to see. And it's like I love it. I love it when mindfulness arises and liberates the mind. It didn't really make the aversion just go away right away. There's still residue of, I don't know what to do with myself. But really when I kept coming back to, let's just keep tracking. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. It was just so liberating. Now that's liberation. That's what we're talking about. Moment to moment, seeing clearly what this mind is up to, how we're relating to it. So freeing. Oh, refuge in the Dharma. Dharma are the teachings of the Buddha. Doug, you defined the Dharma yesterday as the truth of just how it is right now in this moment. I've been studying more with different teachers who study with U Tejaniya, and I love the way that U Tejaniya defines the Dharma as just nature. I think we've heard like the natural way of things unfolding, but I like just also nature. Anything that's happening is nature because it's all nature. And so what does that mean then? Like taking refuge in the way that things are unfolding? Because sometimes that feels confusing. If what's unfolding in front of me is really challenging, where's the refuge there? If it's really scary, what's the refuge? And there's an instruction from U Tejaniya, this Burmese master that I love. And he says, check the view. Just keep checking the view. What view is at work right now? And wise view is understanding that it's impermanent, that things are changing, that my mind is changing, your mind is changing, who I am is uncertain, is impermanent. Wise view understands in nature the causes and conditions of suffering, the freedom from suffering. That's wise view. And so taking refuge in the Dharma, when we're invited to check the view, often I see that what I'm doing is I'm resisting what's happening. Like this, and it sounds like this shouldn't be happening. And a lot of things feel like they really shouldn't be happening right now. So discerning that what's happening right now is unskillful, that's wise discernment. That's different than this shouldn't be happening right now. This shouldn't be happening right now means I'm closing. And if it's this gesture, this shouldn't be happening, then the heart is closed. I can't lean forward to offer my love and compassion. I can't have any kind of wise action right? So taking refuge in the Dharma says, this is happening. And in my perception, this is going against what is skillful. This is rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion. So my discernment says this is not okay. So how can I help? And the refuge is just opening to what's really happening. Doug's definition, I was thinking about it, the truth of what's here right now. I think when there's fear or anger, confusion, what's here right now gets very small. The mind gets very small around what's here right now. It literally shrinks, like the awareness. This is what's here right now, and what's here right now is awful, right? And yes, so one part of what's here right now is challenging. But the dharma is so vast. So the dharma of this moment is just as vast. So there is challenge, and then there's a vast sea of also what is here right now. But I don't have my aperture of awareness open to be able to let that in if I'm just only looking at the fear or only looking at what's challenging. This is why I think one of our gurus for this time, for me, is Rick Hansen. Just reminding, hey, look for the good. Look for the good. And he says it in such simple ways. Look for the good. And then, this last part of refuge and dharma that I want to share, that I think is going to be it is, and I think even more for us, a real resource, is really seeing the dharma as nature, as Mother Nature, as the earth, and finding refuge there, going outside, being with the trees. Yeah, do you do that? It's such a refuge. It's such a refuge for us. It's right here. In the time of the Buddha, this was so inherent to practice. I mean, monks and nuns they were practicing in the forest. That was just woven into the tapestry of the Dharma. So there's no instruction really from the Buddha except go to the forest and practice. But it's really a refuge. And just to share, last week, when I was in this little cabin doing this little solitary retreat, it was snowy and white salmon. There was, it was just so beautiful. And I went outside, and this is something I do more on retreat, because I remember more when I'm on retreat to do it. And I just say, what do you have to teach me? Earth as teacher, Earth as the great Dharma teacher, what do you have to teach me? And it was the middle of the snow, and the snow was coming down like the softest, like almost just ethereal feather-like snowflakes. It was the softest snow I can ever remember seeing. It was so soft. So the air was just so delicate. But then right in front of me was the most powerfully rushing river, like so loud and just scary loud and fast. And that's what revealed itself to me in that moment. And can you feel the teaching in that? Softness, the fierceness. So let's just have a pause. I've said a lot. Just check back in with the breath, feel the earth. A refuge and Sangha. I think it's helpful to really look at specifically what the Buddha was saying about Sangha. And this refuge and Sangha refers to 4 groups of people. So the stream enterers, the once returners, the non-returners, and the arahants. These are 4 groups of people in different stages of awakening. We're not going to spend any time saying what those are, but basically we can boil that down to people who are all in with awakening. And so with the one of stream entry, that's like the first in this list of 10 fetters that we have to become free from on the path of enlightenment. Stream enterers have dropped the first 3. But he also says, or anyone on the way to that. So let's just be those people. We're doing that, right? We're all in. So if you consider yourself like all in, I love this stuff. I want to awaken. I am going for it. If you have a vision of that, then in any way that looks for you, that matters to your heart. That's what the Buddha was saying. These are the people to find safety in. Not like you should only hang out with these people, but for refuge, for safety, look to these people who are all in with waking up, all in with cultivating a strong, grounded sila, practice of ethical living, all in with cultivating generosity, all in with awakening the mind and the heart. So, the weird thing about that in this tradition is we can't actually know, it's monks and nuns don't share, what attainments they have, and it's not typically considered skillful to share, but I think we can just consider that those who are all in, who are really loving this path, that you can really feel are committed, are safe-ish. Right, safe-ish. I was listening to a talk with, his name is Ajahn Dharmagiri. He's a Theravadan monk in the Thai forest tradition. And he was giving a talk about refuge and Sangha. And he said, the Buddha invited us to take refuge in groups because if we take refuge in just one person who's not fully awakened, we're going to be disappointed. Because if we haven't completely cleared greed, hatred, and delusion from our intentions, there's just a chance for harm. There's just a chance for being disappointed. So safer to take refuge in groups who are all in together. And some of you may have heard this quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, and it came to me as I was thinking about this taking refuge in groups. He said, you can find this talk that he gave. It's a really beautiful talk. In fact, found this on Tricycle where your pop-up for your thing on Tuesday kept coming up. It was great. Okay. So the Buddha said 2,500 years ago, Shakyamuni Buddha proclaimed that the next Buddha will be named Maitreya, the Buddha of love. How cool is that? The Buddha of love. Thich Nhat Hanh says, I think Maitreya Buddha may be a community and not an individual. Yeah. A good community is needed to help us resist the unwholesome ways of our time. Mindful living protects us and helps us go in the direction of peace. With the support of friends and the practice, peace has a chance. Thich Nhat Hanh is an absolute guru of community. He thinks that Sangha is the most important of the 3 refuges, actually, and really you can see that if you look to his community. Oh, looking at our time. I don't know where this teaching comes from, the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows. I don't know what sutta or what teaching. I don't know if any of you know where that comes from. It said we're here holding the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows. And this Sangha has, for those of you who've been going through what you've been holding with your teacher, with your beloved Sangha member for these last few months. It's more the sorrow side, right? Holding that, and then finding the connection with one another. And there is something about going through hard things that's just easier when you're going through it, holding other people's hands. I mean, we've heard, from the people experiencing these natural disasters this year. I mean, this is also a refrain that I hear so much, like whether it was from the hurricane or the fires in LA, like, yes, going through the trauma of that, and wow, the community, like, wow, the way the community comes together. So going through it together. And I have a dear friend who 6 or 7 years ago, in a real tragedy, lost her 6-year-old daughter and husband to a wave in Hawaii, and just devastating. But what she has said over all of these years of grieving, is that the single most helpful thing for her is being in grief group with other mothers who have lost their children. Like something about going through it together, holding hands. That has been the most healing for her. I was just thinking last week, as I was kind of feeling into this question, what is there to be done right now? What's the best use of my life for what people are holding, what we're holding right now? So really, anybody else feeling into that question these days? Yeah. How cool is that we're feeling into that question? Yeah. And I was returning to Joanna Macy's work. Do any of you know, or any of you familiar with Joanna Macy? And she has this, it's called the work that reconnects. And I can remember doing this work with her in grad school, and she would have us in these, what is called a truth mandala. Have you done this with her? Yeah. Big circle with different quadrants. One maybe was for anger, despair, grief, hope. No, it was just despair. 4 just really hard things. And you would, like, one at a time, go in and hold the rock and say, give voice to the despair. Go into the one that had the stick, and just one at a time, people going into this truth mandala, getting to share the despair and hold it with one another. But that's the sorrow part. We also have the 10,000 joys. Just in Sangha, like we get to experience joy together. I mean, I was sharing when I first met Doug and Dan and Shane that I decided to watch the documentary on Ruth Denison. And what a trip, just like having the boombox in the desert and everybody dancing. And if you haven't watched this documentary, she's got the whole Sangha singing to the rocks in the desert. They just stop everything and sing together. One of like highlights of my life, great memories, are at the end, or just being on long retreats or any retreats, and a teacher saying some kind of joke that has to do with how funny these minds can be, and just a room of people laughing, a room of Sangha laughing together, and in that mindful space, like feeling in the body what it feels like to just laugh together and listen to the laughter. So we get to do that. And just I'm going to let go of anything else I was going to say so that we can have a little time to share. So if we want to drop in to the heart and the mind just for a moment, and we'll do a little reflection, and maybe some sharing can come. Just a few minutes for sharing. Just a very simple reflection. When have you experienced this feeling of being in it together in Sangha? either what's been hard to hold, holding that together, or the joy, or the inspiration for practice. And just seeing what comes to mind in the field of memory. So has anything arisen for you? Just anybody want to, we have time for just a few shares, yeah, in online or here in the space. How have you been impacted by Sangha? We have, yeah, one here and then back in the red, yeah, over here.
I sort of have a reflection, but also a question for you about the use of the word take in this text. And I'm wondering if there are other verbs or other embodiments that in Pali you're familiar with for this phrase, because it just feels like these days there's a lot of taking of things from people.
Yeah.
And
what's a word that might work for you?
I've been chewing on this for a little bit during your talk and earlier, because it was like a really good teaching moment when I came in here and I took this cushion and realized there was a ladybug on the side of it. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe we'll share this cushion. And so we shared the cushion, and then I came back from warming my coffee and the ladybug was gone. And I thought, oh, she took flight. I kept thinking, like, what are the other? She took space. And then I realized she was just by the edge of the paper, listening to your talk the whole time. And I was like, well, she made space for herself instead of took space, or she shared space with us. And I know that the emphasis has been here on more salient nouns, but the taking part is really rubbing against me for some reason. And it might just be this moment in time, or it may just be where I am independent of a kind of social context. But I just wish there were words that felt more like we were building together, or we were feeling together.
There you go. Those are
and I don't know
words.
if that helps anyone else, or if anyone else has been feeling a similar sort of like, that is such a charged thing right now, and people are not taking to give on a social level in a lot of ways. They're taking to guard, or to possess, or to cause hurt. And yeah, I thought, wow, it's even happening like in this beautiful text that I've heard thousands of times, and this is the first morning where that word is grating on me. And so I just let myself grate, let it grate for 2 hours. But it's nice to also be able to go like, oh, maybe it's also okay to bring up that I'm literally right now having this beautiful word of Sangha next to a word that's really charging me, and that's okay to have them sit on the same cushion with
you can
me.
get rid of that word completely.
Or, we don't have to, but it's just like an interesting thing to experience, of like what beauty, and then also what spiciness right next to it that I don't love.
Well, I think the invitation is to find the words we love, so that this can feel like a beautiful refuge. So I like the word go. I go for refuge. But also we can think of, when we think of dana, of generosity, of I take refuge, that looking at the wise view that it's all interconnected, I'm also giving refuge in my taking. And so I'm taking refuge. Yes, I'm taking refuge, and I'm giving refuge. I am a safe Buddha. I am a safe Sangha. I am embodying the Dharma. So that's one way you could look at it. But I say, there are words in the old classical translations that do not sit well with me, like sloth and torpor. Who knows what that means, right? Like, we got to change it. We got to find words. Even like, I'll just say it, like words like penetrating. I don't want to use that word anymore. I want to find new words that feel softer, feel more feminine, make me feel safe in the Dharma. So I do think we can change the words. So we can change that on the chant sheet for you so that you can feel, because go for refuge is often one that people use also. But yeah, thank you for bringing that. It's a beautiful and very deep question. Yeah. There's one over here.
Very democratic.
Thank you. So I've been a few times over the years, but I don't consider this group my Sangha, or haven't. And I think it's actually something that I've sort of resisted over the years in my own kind of spiritual path. And I think I've been scared of some of the pitfalls of taking refuge in. I love what you said about the image of the Buddha and refuge in a capacity for awareness versus a refuge in this external thing or idea. And but for all of my meanderings, I feel like I'm at a moment in my life where I'm sort of ready to trust in Sangha a little bit more, and realize the benefits of community. But I think it's, at least for me, it has been important to kind of like balance what Sangha means and what the kind of best version of it is against the potential challenges of leaning in too hard or without keeping groundedness. But in this moment, I'm leaning in. So thank you. It's nice to be here.
Lean in. Yeah. I mean, I think we didn't get to the pitfalls. I mean, some of you know very well the pitfalls of Sangha. That's the fun part about Sangha. The fun, not fun part is that because we're human, all kinds of conflicts come up, right? And so I'm taking refuge. It's not all like I wanted to highlight. It's a beautiful place. It's also really challenging to be in communities of people, right? And we get to learn how to use our practice to navigate conflict. Like recently, I heard Jack Kornfield say, don't look to spiritual communities to learn how to deal with conflict. They don't do it very well. And I've seen the truth in that, but I've also seen that that's also changing. Like we have skills like nonviolent communication right now, like that come into our communities more. Like let's not have it be that way, right? So refuge doesn't mean necessarily comfortable.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it all yourself either.
Yeah, right. That's the big, check that view, the unwise view of our time, that we're needing to do all of this ourselves. Yeah, we can't. And that's what's so beautiful about Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings. Like there's nothing we can do alone. Nothing. And especially right now with what we're holding, we need each other. Yeah. Okay, we're over time, but let's just keep this conversation going in our Sangha. I wanted to, and sorry if we didn't have anybody online, but we wanted to end singing together. So bringing some joy and some healing into the space through song. And I really hope the technology works so I don't have to sing it, because if we can sing along, if not, I'll try to sing it. So this is Kate Munger, and she's with her group of singers, and this is a teaching from Ram Dass. Just a simple line, you've probably heard it. We are all walking each other home. And so we can listen we can listen with our hearts, and if you feel called to sing, we can walk each other home.
We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other home. We are all just walking each other.
So let's keep going. And just have a last moment, because we're here together. If we can dedicate the merit of our practice doing that, offering it up and sharing it, it will just have so much more. So gathering up all of the awareness and love and sharing and listening, all that we've cultivated together today, and really sharing it with the beings on this planet who could use it the most. So may our practice really be of benefit in this world for each one of us on our own path of liberation, and in widening circles, so that in some really mystical way, magical way, our practice today really reach all beings everywhere. May all beings be be free. Well, thank you for your practice. Thank you for having me. Yeah, see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexa, so much for being with us. Alexa will be here for a bit if you'd like to have conversation with her. And to build on what Danny mentioned earlier about Donna, in the back, we have two separate Donna boxes and QR code pages. One for Alexa. We were able to give her a small stipend to be here, but she could certainly accept Donna individually, and then another channel for PIMC to help us continue to build the center and bring in more teachers and be here with you in Sangha. And final note is, yeah, Alexa will be starting a women's group on Tuesday evenings, as we mentioned, on February 25th. And yeah, starting old school, just in person. And March 8th, Alexa will be with us for a 1 day retreat. That's on a Saturday on love and equanimity, and more details coming. But you can actually sign up for that retreat today if you want. So yeah, thank you, Alexa. In the back, tea, cookies, coffee, and so much more. Maybe another football joke or two. So at the moment I don't, but I'll try to get one across the goal line in the back. So